What's up, y'all? This is Salt City Counseling. My name's Scott Carter, and I am a clinical mental health counselor in the state of Utah. Very cold, rainy day today. Hope everybody's doing okay. Talk about life in this video. I'm going to talk about probably the most impactful decision that you will make in your life or not make in your life. And in regards to being happy or living in a way that really matters to you, truly living and being happy. I'm going to talk about the most impactful decision that you can make in your life. And this video, if I'm really honest, it's more geared towards sort of the younger crowd where they're sort of getting off the ground and spreading their wings and, leaving the nest maybe, or looking at life or considering life and planning things out and looking at their future. And so this video is honestly kind of geared maybe towards a little bit of the younger crowd. Hopefully trying to reach the younger crowd, as I've spent the last couple of decades or so. I'm getting older. Recently had a birthday. Suddenly, here's the thing, young people, right? I work with teenagers, and sometimes they're like, "Well, you got old," and it's like, I really tried not to. Didn't work. Like one day, one day you wake up, you look in the mirror, and you're like 24, and you're like, "Oh, look at me, I'm so cool and young and thin," and then one day you wake up and you look in the mirror and you're like, "Whoa!" Suddenly you realize you've gotten older and fatter, and so this video is really kind of geared towards young people, because I know that a lot of young people are feeling lost these days. A lot of young people are if I'm really honest too, lacking sound direction, lacking sound advice from older people. They're getting advice from people who are also lost. What I find with young people these days is that it's the blind kind of leading the blind. People who are miserable are giving advice out freely when perhaps they shouldn't. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the most impactful decision that you can make in your life, okay? And let me get some quick housekeeping out of the way. I'm a little less dedicated these days, at least right now for the time being, in growing my channel and all that. But just subscribe if you will, if you find this content helpful, or don't. I'm pretty apathetic these days, I'm going to be honest. I'm feeling pretty apathetic. A little lost, trying to find my way too. I'm having like my umpteenth midlife crisis. So subscribe if you will. Share the video if you like it. Hit the tip jar if you want to keep content like this going. All the links are in the description below. You can send a viewer question. scottc at saltcitycounseling.com. If you're in a high conflict divorce or custody, I have sort of a website for that type of stuff. Maybe one day I'll put more work into it. Maybe I won't. I just don't know at this point. highconflictcommunity.com. Okay, so let's get on with it. There's a lot of decisions that you will make that will have a significant impact in your life, like maybe where you go to college, or maybe what career you choose, where you choose to live. There's lots of decisions that will have a tremendous impact on your life. Frankly, as much emphasis as we put on like going to school, you would think it would be super life altering, your decisions when it comes to school and college. It's frankly not. It's just not. I'm a broken record when it comes to school. I don't know how on earth we got to the point where we were still telling kids that, like, yes, you're going to have employers that are going to check your high school diploma. They're going to care that you got a C plus in English your sophomore year. Honestly, right now too, like the workforce is really suffering. Like people will, if you can count to 10 and you have a heartbeat, you can get a job right now. I mean, employers are just desperate for people. Believe me, they're not going to look at your transcripts. But out of all the decisions that you make in life, the one that's going to have the most significant, and I mean profoundly significant, sometimes inalterable, and some people don't recover from this, and that is just relationships. The relationship that you choose, the long-term relationship, the person that you choose to marry, that will have a greater impact on your life than really any single most other decision that you ever make. And I wish that we talked to people more about this. Kids get an earful of Oh, you got to be really choosy about the school that you go to. No, you don't. It's nonsense. You need to be really, really choosy about who you get into a relationship with. And if you get into a really, really highly enmeshed, highly involved relationship with the wrong person, you get married, you have lots of commitments, you join your bank accounts, you get a dog together, you have kids together, etc., 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 etc. If you do all that stuff with the wrong person, then frankly, that is something that you frankly cannot sometimes really recover from truly, like in the long run. And if you do it, it could take decades. Um, and it's interesting, just me personally and professionally. Like I've mentioned this before. I don't do couples counseling. I refuse to do it. It's a nightmare. I would hate my job. I would hate my work. I love my work. I do. I have the rare luxury and opportunity to shape and mold the nature of my work so that I'm serving the people that I connect with and doing it in a way that and doing work in a meaningful way for me. So I'm very, very fortunate in that regard. Which is precisely why I refuse to do couples counseling, because it would just ruin my day or week, and just sour everything. And on a personal level, I've never married. I've never gotten married, and frankly, I stopped trying to date years ago for one primary reason. People's relationships look awful to me. And it's people accept this as normal, and the way that human beings use the word love towards each other, I think, is really distorted. I think it's really warped. But if you get really, really involved with the wrong person, it will alter your life. I know that a lot of people are on my channel because they did marry the wrong person. They had kids with the wrong person, and now they have family court that is just absolutely destroying their lives. Family court, make no mistake, family court will fail you. Family court will fail your children. Family court will destroy your life. It will destroy your potential for any financial freedom that you might have, at least for a solid decade, at least, sometimes more. Some people's family court case goes on for a decade, close to it. Um, you will not be able to financially recover from it. But think too, right? Like I have worked with people recently where, like, for example, the person that they married ended up sexually abusing the kids. Like, what do you do then, right? And then this parent that did this to the children is now incarcerated. He's in prison indefinitely, who knows for how long. And he just never recovered from that. How do you trust again? How do you forgive yourself, right? And these are catastrophic things to try and overcome for people. So it's extremely important to be very, very discerning, and really, really important to be very choosy about who you commit with. And my thing is, don't ignore the red flags. Pretty much everybody that I meet these days, they just ignore the red flags, and then their marriage, their relationship is a disaster. You never recover from it. It will forever alter your life. It just will. Even if your marriage is not horrible, and you even have a fairly, pleasant divorce, I mean, relatively speaking, it will still alter your life. You will still be limited in the choices that you can personally make for where you want to live or what type of work you can take, because you're going to have to work higher paying jobs for crappier for crappier and shoddier treatment and poor hours and crappy hours, right? And so it's so important to not ignore the red flags, but they're so common these days. I don't know that young people have really good role models or really good archetypes, working archetypes for people who have really, really good and positive, loving relationships. I really don't. What I see is, and I've talked about this before, is like everybody's relationship seems to be a competition. It's a power struggle. It's filled with like control issues and jealousy and who are you texting, and oh, it's my sister, and liar, let me see, and this type of relationship, right? Good loving relationships, they have trust. There's unconditional positive regard. There's tolerance for mistakes. There's benefit of the doubt. And what I see, man, is just jealousy and control. left and right. And so if I were to try to pin down a list of red flags, that would just be frankly a whole other video. In fact, I'm gonna put that on the to do list. What time is it? I would record that video today. I don't really have time. I don't really have time for it today, but I'll make some notes and do it later. So if you want that list, make sure that you hit the notification bell or whatever. But there are so many red flags that people just overlook. Like I realize that this is one of the saddest things I feel like about life these days, and that is that I realize that people in families and relationships, they treat each other worse than the people outside of their relationships, when it should be the opposite. It's almost like people care more about strangers on the internet than they care about their significant other and their relationship with their significant other. And we just have it backwards. I'm really convinced, because I've seen it, I've experienced it. This is true for my family, that here in the West, like in the U.S. at least, American families treat each other like garbage. And they treat strangers or neighbors or whatever, or friends like royalty, and their immediate family like total garbage. No tolerance for mistakes, and they're controlling and just get it together, and they just come down on you or whatever and yell at you. And I have avoided relationships and marriage deliberately because I refuse to be in one of these relationships. And I just really feel like people don't know any better. So if you're young, if you've never been married, if you're, in a relationship where it's kind of touch and go, maybe there's a lot of fighting, a lot of jealousy, like keep in mind the getting into the wrong relationship will alter your life forever. And again, some people just don't ever recover from that. It forever alters the trajectory of their life into some side road that they never wanted or intended for themselves or their life. And if you have married the wrong person, if you did get involved with the wrong person and you wish you hadn't, man, hit the like button, comment below, chime in, tell me what you think. Okay? That's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.